the Scottish police watchdog has been called in for an investigation after an 11-year-old boy, and that's the bit that's supposed to tug at your heartstrings there, was tasered, that's the bit that's not supposed to tug at your heartstrings, during a blade standoff at a holiday park in Ayrshire.
Yes, it's believed the schoolboy could be the youngest person ever to be tasered by the police in Scotland. Joining us now is Oliver Laurence, a former police officer and the host of Protect and Serve podcast. Good morning to you. Look, 11 years old, obviously a messed up 11-year-old to be wielding a knife, still a child. This is a very controversial part of the law of policing. Where do you stand?
Well, thanks very much indeed for having me. I'm very much in support of the police and their actions in relation to this. There is no lower or upper echelon in terms of when the police can taser in terms of age. It comes down to the threat assessment that they carry out against these individuals who make the erroneous decision to carry weapons that we expect our police to be able to deal with. So I am in support of police. They have a number of tactical options available to them to deal with these issues, and they make an appropriate decision very rapidly as the situation starts evolving. So I'm very much in support of the police actions with regard to a zero tolerance in dealing with what can be a very, very dangerous incident.
And Oliver, just 5 minutes ago we had a report on this knife crime prevention week, and we can talk and we can talk about all sorts of things, but if we're not going to be serious and show people who wield knives that the police service is serious against this, I suppose we're not going to get anywhere. And tasering has got to be a resort that can be called upon.
That's exactly right, Eamon, and I think the first thing to make note of is that police officers don't go to work wanting to engage in any sort of high-level confrontation, particularly with young people, trying to bring to a conclusion, as we expect them to, these very distressing incidents where we've got young people that seem to believe that it's appropriate to carry knives in public. There's an expectation placed on police by us, the public, that they will deal with these situations in the best possible scenario they can do, with the best training that they receive, and we ask of them to make very, very quick decisions to ensure that they maintain public safety, law and order, and they hold these individuals accountable. And I think there's a more broader conversation here with regards to then engaging with parents and guardians and caregivers of these youngsters to understand why they're making these decisions and to try and help them improve those thought processes they go through before they leave the home and make these terrible decisions.
First priority has to be to make any dangerous situations safe, doesn't it, for the police? And if a child, whoever it may be, whether it's a child or an adult, they've got to, as I say, get their hands on that weapon. But you are absolutely right. There still has to be the conversation about how it got into the hands of a child. And I frankly still feel sorry for that child. Their life will be ruined from here on out. Who knows what the implications on a young brain will be of having huge voltage passing through their body. I mean, do we even know? I suppose you can't do tests on children because that would be dangerous.
Hopefully the effect is that they won't pick up a knife again.
Well, absolutely, and I don't disagree, but I do think it's sad that it even got to that stage, and we have to, as a society, not only be tough on crime, but on the causes of crime, as the old adage goes.
No, I totally agree with that, Isabel. And you know, there are guidelines that the police are issued with in terms of some of the higher levels of risk in terms of deploying a taser on a younger person, because as their body mass decreases in terms of how young they are, there are the slim chances that can create some complications in the deployment of the taser. However, you know, police officers are human beings, they're not robots. It's very, very dangerous trying to deal with an incident where you've got an 11-year-old child who in that incident was being spoken to by police. They were trying their best to communicate with this youngster, to reason with them, to ask them to put down the weapon, but again, non-compliance, and a point that, you know, the police have to make a judgment call as to a line in the sand to protect the public, to make a decision and to end an incident with a less than lethal use of force, as is the taser, and ensuring the safety of the public and importantly themselves as well, trying to bring that matter to a conclusion. You know, the youngster wasn't hurt. You know, tasering is very unpleasant. I've been tasered myself as a trained police officer. It's not designed to be pleasant, but remembering that it is the amperage that causes serious injury and electrocutions, and the amperage that comes out of a taser is very, very minimal, in fact, below safety standards. So it's an effective tool in bringing dangerous incidents to a conclusion very, very quickly.